Right, not long to go now, everyone, until Celtic hopefully clinch the cinch against Rangers on Sunday. Effectively clinch the cinch. We can't actually do it, Tino, but big opportunity. We've got Tino on from the Celtic Exchange, the wonderful Celtic Exchange. We're absolutely roasting in the paradise sunshine. I don't think it's going to be like this on Sunday. I'm expecting rain, sadly.
I'm just thinking two pale guys like me and you, Hamish, can't stay here too long, so maybe make us quick, 15-20 minutes. But no, great to be here. Looking forward to Sunday. As you say, not mathematically possible, but to all intents and purposes it would be done and dusted if we get the 3 points.
Is it the day we celebrate? Is it going to happen?
I'm convinced of it. Disappointing at hand in a couple of weeks ago. There was this kind of drama, and I'd say an overreaction at hand, and about Celtic get out-muscled, outplayed. I don't believe that for a second. We get narrowly beaten in a 90-minute plus extra time semi-final. Semi-finals are nervous by their nature. I think back here on Sunday, full house, all the momentum, I think it's going to be a good day.
Do you think that's something that's not been spoken about enough? The fact that Rangers are again coming here to a packed Celtic Park where they folded like a pack of cards the last time they came here?
It's got a huge bearing. That February night, back at the start of February, it was phenomenal. And I'm a big fan of getting the away fans back for this fixture in general. But while it is what it is, I think it's a huge advantage to Celtic. I think there's going to be 700 odd Rangers fans, but it will be absolutely bouncing in there on Sunday. And I think it's going to play right into our hands.
Hopefully it does. Just overall, we've obviously had you on a couple of times. I think it's been earlier on in the season. Yeah. We're now in a situation where we're effectively 3 points on Sunday away from winning the league. It does take a bit of getting used to, doesn't it? I mean, there's so many people, your podcast, our channel, everywhere else, Celtic related, chatting about it. But for me, it's not quite sunk in yet that we're this close to what would be an amazing achievement.
Yeah, I remember. Doesn't seem that long ago we were counting down the games and we're saying 11 to go, 10 to go. That's us into single digits, and now we find ourselves 4 games, but effectively one big result on Sunday away from it. So yeah, given the troubles of last season, it's a more than welcome situation to be in. But yeah, it's all come around very quickly, and hopefully we can get over the line on Sunday. We've
tried to delay this video, everyone, as late as we could to get Ange's team news. I'm currently scrolling Twitter to see if he's actually done any team news. I've got a Sky interview right here. I'm doing this real time, everyone. Ange Postecoglou won't rule out starting both Giakoumakis and Kyogo against Rangers. I take it from that then, Tino, there's not any other major news. Obviously Juranovic is going to miss out. Question marks over Beaton as well, but nothing kind of else.
Yeah, just that. I mean, I think if someone notable was missing, that would have made the headline rather than that about Kyogo and Giakoumakis.
What do you make of that? Do you think there's a who was it in your pod?
Mystic Myth. So he's I don't know if he was just thrown out there to speculate, but he's got a theory that he might start with Giakoumakis and Kyogo. I have put my hat on it being Kyogo with Maeda and Jota. I'll be amazed if it's anything but that. I really will. And we debated it on the show on Monday night, and I put it to Myth and James. I says, listen, I need to ask the question, but is it Kyogo or Giakoumakis? Fully expecting the boys all to say Kyogo in unison, and they too have suggested Giakoumakis will play his part from the start. I think it's Kyogo all day long.
I mean, I think fans would be kind of satisfied with anything at this stage, but for me it's what Kyogo brings as in a fixture like this. I just think he's ready to go, and I just think he, as I said yesterday in the channel, he's an absolute magnet for opportunities, Kyogo, and in a fixture like this there's usually space in behind the defence. I just think it could be made for him, and it also gives the whole place a boost, doesn't it?
Of course, he's an absolute magnet and an absolute superstar, and I think the big thing about this fixture is that he's only played once against Rangers from the start. It was out left wing with Edward, I think, back in August, being in the centre. He obviously came off the bench at Hampden and he wasn't quite right. He struggled to get into that game, and I think we've now got this opportunity as the season closes out to start him through the middle as the main threat. And I think it'd be madness not to do it, and I think Ange will do it.
Right, nobody cares about my predicted 11, so let's go for the Tino predicted 11, but I'm going to predict that you are going to go over Joe Hart in goals, Ralston, Carter Vickers, Starfelt, Taylor, McGregor. What is Tino doing from that point?
You've got to bring Rogic in for this game. I think it's, despite how tired he seems to be, or how tired he's suggesting he is, Hatate plays as well, so I think it's McGregor with Hatate up above him. And there is the only two debates for me is it O'Reilly and Rogic, and is it Kyogo and is Giakoumakis? And I think for me it's got to be Rogic for this occasion, and Kyogo as well.
So what do you make of this Rogic, O'Reilly rhetoric that they can't play together? Is that all based on one game against Bodo Glimt? And if that's the case, is that unfair given that neither Kyogo or Giakoumakis also played that game?
Yeah, I'd love to see it, and I think Ange will persevere and try that out domestically. I mean, you forget Tom Rogic is still a young guy, but it just seems set in stone. He's 29ish.
That's no young.
Youngish, young for me. But you've got the prospect of O'Reilly, he's just Rogic all over the back. Style, skill, ability, physique, all of that stuff. And I think it's a great situation where Rogic may start to dip. Listen, he may not. He's turned a few impressions around this season alone, but Rogic is a very able replacement, and to have that ability to chop and change those two, it's a great position to be in.
Yeah, I mean, O'Reilly showed at Hampden how good of a sub he can be impacting the game, and I love Matt O'Reilly, and I think he's probably kind of unfortunate not to be starting more games, because I think he's been a better player than Hatate over the last 6 weeks or so. But I just think Hatate loves Celtic Park. I think most of his good performances have come here at Celtic Park, and maybe it's me just being lazy looking at the fact that he was a star that the last time Rangers visited. But I just think, the game on Sunday is just made for a player like Hatate to start, and then maybe play 60 minutes and bring O'Reilly on, and that's another problem. And you've got Turnbull as well there. Yeah,
and I've gone on about Turnbull recently. I think he's a huge start. I was a wee bit disappointed with his cameo against Ross County. He came on,
looked a bit off it,
fluffed his lines a wee bit, screwed a few shots by the post, but he's a talent. I don't expect him to start on Sunday by any stretch, but I think to have the option of him, Hatate, O'Reilly, Rogic, and we've not even had a glimpse at Gucci and what he might bring to the party moving forward, so there are solid options in there for Ange. I've got a feeling he may go and sign a 6 in summer, which might free up Callum McGregor twofold. It might free him up just in terms of resting him a wee bit, but it might also allow him to go further forward when required.
That's probably what we're looking for to take us to the next level, is someone who can do a similar job to McGregor, or as you say, allow McGregor to push on. Your front three you've already given us it. Talk us through, you've already said about Kyogo, but Maida will have to play, won't he, given how good he's been against Rangers as well, and the problems he gave Tavernier and Goldson at Ibrox especially.
Yeah, he's an absolute nuisance of a guy in the positive sense of the word, and I think I was frustrated at Hampden that with him being through the middle initially, it let Tavernier off the hook, and was it Bassey at left back? And I'd just love to see him and Jota in full flow. Jota owes us a performance. I think he's disappointed a wee bit in the Rangers games. I was amazed at people saying after Hampden that's Jota done and let's forget that experiment. He's been huge for Celtic this season. He scored huge goals domestically. I was in Leverkusen to watch him score a brilliant goal that night. He is a serious talent.
Just drop it in.
I know he's miffed, so I like to drop it in. But he's a phenomenal talent, and I think anyone thinking he's not to the level we're looking for is misguided. And I think Sunday gives him a real opportunity to show that he can do it on the big stage against Rangers as well.
Yeah. Well, this is completely boring, but my team is the exact same as yours. I think
if it's right, mate. Don't fight it.
Well, yeah. I hear Ange watches the channel, so if you see the same team, I think Asim had the same team. David, I think, had O'Reilly in for Hatate, which, as we say, if that happened, we couldn't really argue with that. Do you think that's the team we'll see? I kind of feel like it is. I mean, Ange saying that Giakoumakis and Kyogo could start together, to me, just screams of him almost, keep Rangers guessing.
You've got to. You're not going to give away your team, a couple of days out, so he'll pose the question and it leaves Van Bronckhorst with a decision to make. He himself will have some calls to make. There's this chat about whether they prioritise their return leg next Thursday, but you can never go into these kind of games, I would suggest, playing any sort of weekend side, so it leaves them with a stick or twist type decision as well.
Yeah, without having seen the interview for Sky, I would put good money on the question being posed to Ange, who will you start, Kyogo or Giakoumakis, and then him probably answering saying, well, I could play both. So that seems like a typical Ange answer. Right, before we go on to how we think the game will pan out and get predictions, etc., obviously final derby of the season. We've had a few final derbies of the season. We can maybe go through some of our favourite memories of these kind of March, April, May matches against Rangers. Yeah. We're recording this today, giving away the secrets, 29th of April, Friday.
That's showbiz.
I know, and we've had plenty of really big wins over Rangers on this date. The 5-0 win, 2018. Previous year we had 5-1 at Ibrox. We had, I think, the final ever Old Firm was a 3-0 win here. The party that day, the coffins getting passed around and all that stuff. Your days, a 3-0 win at Ibrox.
Thank you.
Early 21st century. Are there any of those spring out, or any other games, the final ones of the season?
The one that stands out to me, it was the penultimate Celtic Rangers of the season. It was when Venegar of Hesslink has scored the late diving header. It was such a night. Celtic were in a position, I think, where they had to win their last 8 games, including 2 against Rangers. Ended up being the title for Tommy Burns. And I was there that night behind those goals for Venegar scored. So Gary Caldwell, not famed for his assists by any stretch, has fired it across. Scott McDonald, your pal for the show, has headed it back across, and Venegar's just put everything on it to nudge it into the bottom corner with the head, and the place went off its head. It was absolutely brilliant. I'll never forget it. And then we subsequently went and won, I think, 3-2 thanks to Barry Robson's heroics to go on and win the title. So brilliant memories there.
That was obviously a night game. Any day ones?
My very first Celtic Rangers game, was
that 80s? 70s?
It was 93. It was over there, so the old Celtic end at the time. And I wasn't allowed to go when I was a wee boy, but I was about 12, I think, for this one. It was March 93. And Celtic won 2-1, goals from Andy Payton. Do you remember Andy Payton?
Never heard of him.
Look him up, cult hero. Andy Payton and John Collins, so you will know. Celtic have won 2-1. And yeah, it's my first. I remember it vividly because I think Andy Payton took a head knock or a bang in the face, and he ended up finishing the game with blood all down his coupon. And Celtic went on to win 2-1. So just as a first memory, you're talking about March, April time. That's my very first memory. So good to get off to a winning start.
What was the score on that one?
2-1.
2-1. So you quite like a 2-1 then?
I'm fond of a 2-1. I'm fond of any Celtic victory over Rangers, but 2-1 is fine. Yeah.
Do you prefer a game when it's really close and a kind of dramatic, nervy win as a 3-4-0?
I remember Dembele's hat trick. Start of the season under Rodgers 5-1.
That was a special one, wasn't it?
That was a great day. I happened to be sitting at the opposite end of the stadium that day. I was in the traditional Rangers end, or very close to where the Rangers fans were, and that was all right on the day. And I'll take 5-1s all day long. I'll also take 2-1s.
Yeah, I mean, I love a bit of anything beating Rangers, to be honest. I just get the feeling the game on Sunday might be quite a tight one. I just feel like you don't often get 2 thumpings of Rangers here in a season. I don't know if that's ever happened. I feel like the game on Sunday might be quite a tight one where we really have to grind it out. And listen, I'd absolutely settle for that. It's a game they have to win for us. It's not a must win for us. We'd love to win, but a draw keeps us going. In terms of my memories, because I know everyone really cares, 5-0 game against Rangers to win the league was just incredible, wasn't it? Quite similar to this Sunday in terms of going into it with a chance to win the league. Obviously that time we could actually win the league. This time we can't mathematically win the league, but I was looking back at the table after that game and we beat them 5-0 that day to go 10 points clear at the top of the table, but not ahead of Rangers, ahead of Aberdeen. Rangers were third.
Right, okay.
And it's interesting because I remember that season being a bit of a easy street for us, whereas this season has felt like such a grind. But if we win on Sunday, we can be 9 points clear, and this will have been won really convincingly. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think a lot of people are saying, again, speaking to the lads on our show, this touchwood we got over the line, this would be one of their favourite ever Celtic title wins. It's just been such, because listen, there's no kidding on that there was so much hope and expectation getting into the 10 in a row season, but if we were going to get 10 in a row, we would have kind of huffed and puffed and maybe just got over the line. We obviously fell way short on that. You've now got a very genuine title race where it's been eachy peachy. They were 6-7 ahead before the turn of the year. Celtic have obviously swung that around to currently be 6 points on its head. And from a sporting point of view, it's been good. You do enjoy that competitive edge. So yeah, to your point, about winning 2-1. Yeah, I think if you're a fan of sport, you're a fan of football, you're a fan of Celtic, it is more exciting and there's a bit more to it when you're neck and neck. So long as you do go on and get the victory at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, we've got to remember, we had you on the channel, I think after the Motherwell game, you and Paddy back in December, and at that stage, I mean, we honestly couldn't have imagined being in this situation. I would probably have taken going into the game this weekend 2 points behind maybe with a chance to go top, and we're going into it 6 points clear. Those were tough months. I mean, they were enjoyable because the games really mattered. I remember that Motherwell game here, the relief at full time. Hearts here, the 1-0 win on the Thursday night, relief at full time. The away wins at Ross County, the Ralston goal. It's been a real season of kind of narrow victories, but we've kept doing it. There
was a tweet doing the rounds, I can't remember who it was from, but it was a really good thread where someone just asked, what's your moment of the season, just a few days ago, and people were quote tweeting their responses, and somebody got ahead of me and quote tweeted a Badass winner against Dundee United in the 90th minute.
That whole day.
That was phenomenal, and for me, at time of going to press and all that stuff, that is the moment of the season. Right. We might have some moments on Sunday and whatever else, But that was the moment you thought, this could be our season. You know, Celtic had failed to beat Livingston when Giakoumakis missed that penalty, whenever that was, and you thought, this could be a long old year. And for Abada to pop up with that late winner, I think did Rangers draw with Ross County that day? Was it the same day? It was just such a moment, and we thought the moment had gone. Ben Doak played his part that day, and he's now off to pastures new and stuff. But that day was the day you thought, this could be it for us.
I was walking right along here, and I just about to go into Celtic Park, and I just heard a massive roar, and it was Ross County equalising. It was one of those moments that could be moment of the year. I
think the Kyogo goal with the Jota pass against Ferencvaros, brilliant moment. You know, the ball was in slow motion. Was that the Tuesday afternoon game? Was it like 3 o'clock?
3:30, yeah.
Skipping school that day, were you? But great to see that. And there's been several others. The Rangers game in February, that was frightening. You'll never forget that game if you were in that stadium that night, beating Rangers at Ibrox recently. So there's been so many moments bringing us to this very point here where we could, to all intents and purposes, go over the line on Sunday.
And I think there's a feeling that the best is still to come as well, both in terms of this team and subsequent seasons, but also this season. I just feel like if we win on Sunday, the celebrations in that stadium, I think there's always a tendency to overhype things, but I think we could see Celtic Park rocking like it hasn't in like years if we beat them to effectively win the league on Sunday. It would just be everything coming together, this love we have for Ange, these players, putting them in their place, getting back to being the champions again. It'd be amazing. I'm almost tearing up thinking about it, Tino.
Yeah, do you know, if we get the one on Sunday, you'll have to drag me out there. I'll be in there till about 9 o'clock clinging onto my seat.
Just stay for the Hearts game and the Motherwell the week after.
So yeah, and it's just, I think it's because at the start of the year you've kind of touched towards it that I think we all thought, do you know what, if we're just competitive going into April and May time, we'll take that all day long given the failings of last season. And now we're so much more than that, and I think there's a crescendo yet to happen for this season. But there is also the prospect of this isn't just as good as it gets. There's a whole new thing going to happen under Ange next season, and I'm sure you'll cover it in detail on the channel about who potentially will come in and how we'll develop this team and move into what we've been calling Ange version 2.0. Yeah. And I think that's so exciting moving forward. But of course there's a job to be done before that. Yeah,
and I think that's a point John's made in the channel as well, that a lot of other fans are almost looking at this as being normal service being resumed. The scary thing for other fans is that it isn't. This is normal service being resumed, but Celtic are going to kick on again in future. So it's so exciting. Dare I lower the tone and mention a Mr. Beaton? Beaton.
Near Beaton or John Beaton?
I don't know why I went with Beaton. How do you say John Beaton? Beaton. So there's Beaton and Beaton. I don't want to get them too mixed up. One's been absolutely awful this season, the other's been quite good, and I'll let you work out what one I'm talking about. John Beaton, the referee on Sunday, how important is it that he gets on top of probably aggression from Rangers that we'll expect to see? I reckon that's probably quite ironic what I've just said there.
Yeah, I mean, what you had last week at Ross County was important in terms of Kevin Clancy allowing Ross Callaghan to get away with one on Callum McGregor, but then very quickly getting the cards out 5 minutes in after a pretty horrendous challenge on Ralston. And I think that's got to be the way. I know referees, or some referees, like to keep the cards in their pocket and let the game flow and don't bring out too early. A foul is a foul is a foul. And if it's a bad one, whether it's the first minute or the 91st minute, you've got to provide the caution. So I think and hope that John Beaton is doing the right thing and won't allow any of the nonsense we've seen at Hampden, because it was nonsense. And people have debated with us on the channel and our YouTube comments about what about McGregor's early tackle and what about this and that. I get that, but if you want to do a blow-by-blow account of that full game, then let's do that, because some of the decisions over the 120 minutes were horrendous. Even just taking in isolation the fact that John Lundstrom to this very moment still hasn't been booked for that game, it beggars belief. So if Beaton plays the game in any way fair, he shouldn't have an overall impact in the game, and I just hope that's the case.
You would just hope that the Celtic support will have an effect on that as well. It must do on the ref. And also, I know we have a lovely team of players that we've all taken to so much, and people like Kyogo and Hatate and O'Reilly are really infectious characters who the Celtic support love. If I see any of them offering a handout to pick up a Rangers player on Sunday, I'm going to be fizzing. I want that nasty streak we had in February the 2nd back. I want Callum McGregor roaring in Barisic's face, calling him a you-know-what, and I want to see the fans making this a horrible place again for them, because they don't like it at all. And I think we were too nice at Hampden. I genuinely do, and it's unlike this Celtic team. Yeah. I think we need to see that ruthless, nasty streak back.
I agree with you. I think there's ways to win games of football, but just being competitive by its very nature. And I think think Kyogo and Hatate are two of the nicest guys on the planet from what I can see, but you need to have that wee bit of ruthlessness, and it doesn't mean going about swinging elbows and being in guys' faces, but certainly don't be picking guys up and ruffling their hair and being all cuddly with them either. So maybe just as they're new to this country and they're still finding their feet in Glasgow, they'll maybe realise getting into next season that that's not the gig and you need to kind of move on for that. But in terms of the impact of the crowd, there's no doubt it's human nature that'll have an impact on some refereeing decisions, because if you've got 60 odd thousand calling for something and a 700 odd guys going against it, it's just human nature to say, have I got a call to make here? So it could have been. I genuinely hope though that we're not talking about the referee come Sunday night, Monday morning, and the game is played out in in the proper sense, and that Celtic obviously go on and get the edge.
Hopefully. Anthony Ralston, I'm calling out to you to put someone up in the air in the first few minutes, get the ball as well ideally, but that doesn't have to happen. We'll do predictions first. Give us your prediction.
I've gone for 3-1 on our show, and I'll stick with that. I went for 3-1 at Hampden, mind you, and that's not quite worked out for me.
Is it a 3-1 or a humping?
It's comfy. It's a wee consolation goal for them at some stage. So
that's nice you give them that.
I just do. I think again with what happened in February, I think if Celtic come out the traps, and I think they'll be so motivated and focused in this game that I think we will come out strong and fast and everything that goes with that. And I do think there's a potential for us to get an early foothold in the game. That being the case, it could be a few, but listen, I will take any sort of win, any sort. But 3-1's what I've gone for, and I'll stick with that.
Right, I'll go one less. I'll go for the old Tino favourite, and I'll go a 2-1 Celtic win. And I have a feeling it might be a dramatic one. Remember the game we had under Lennon here, 2-1, when Forrest scored late on. I could see it being that kind of to and fro match. Tino's from the Celtic Exchange. We've mentioned that already. On the off chance that you've enjoyed what he's had to say, where can they find out more? Yeah,
just usual places. So weekly podcast, you'll find that on Apple, Spotify, and all other podcast places, and just at our website, thecelticexchange.com. We've got the various podcasts, blogs, video, etc., and we're also on YouTube. So yeah, check us out there if you fancy it.
And a big pod on Monday or Tuesday if we get the victory?
We'll record on Monday, all things going well. If things don't go well, we might cancel the show, but we'll be recording Monday for that to be live on Tuesday. So yeah, here's hoping. And listen, I'm confident it will be a really positive show.
And you're here on Sunday?
Yeah, be here on Sunday, so looking forward to that, here with my brother and my dad. So looking forward to whatever Sunday brings, and maybe catch up with you lads after it.
Maybe. Certainly be having a few beers if it goes well. I'm getting nervous already, everyone. God, it's going to be a big one this weekend. I hope you enjoy the game wherever you're watching, whether you're coming here to Celtic Park, whether you're watching it at home around the world. I hope you enjoy yourself, and hopefully it's a massive afternoon for Celtic. We will have the reaction for you after the game, hopefully not too long after the game, and hopefully we've got big smiles on our faces. Thanks everyone, take care, and hail hail.